Hey, where's Saints? Father Chris, Deacon Greg here with you. Welcome to our Crucifixion live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people with us. We're going to talk today. How are you, by the way?
Fine.
Good. We're going to talk about commitment. I was thinking about it. Now, as we're filming this, it is towards the end of May, 5 months into the year, almost done with the 5 and into the 6th. And I was thinking, not arrogantly, but just as I was actually on my run, I started to think about, I'm impressed with myself. And I don't mean that arrogantly, but like I've been working out and running every day this year. You know, we all make those commitments in January, like New Year's Day. It's a new year. It's a new me, right? And we many of us get a gym subscription and we promise ourselves we're going to do it. You know what I mean? New year, new me, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, we're gung ho, we're on fire. And then like by early February, we're like mysteriously allergic to spandex. Like everything's totally different, you know, and we fall off that commitment. Look, the statistics show us, and they vary, but they're all tell the same story. I've heard anywhere from 6 to 17% of those New Year's resolutions to be healthy and go to the gym and all that survive into February. So what does that mean? At least 80, if not more, percent of us who make those commitments they abandon them and they don't hold into it. And that's why I was like, again, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but it hit me. I was like, for me, who's one who makes commitments and doesn't always keep them, I was like, oh, look at me still running, 5 months into it. I waddle slowly, but I'm out there and I'm doing it.
You're doing it.
I'm doing it. Anyway, so I thought, you know what? Let's take an opportunity and talk about commitments and the things that we say and the struggles that people have with their commitments and dealing with it in life.
I think it's very smart.
Why is it smart?
Because people flake all the time.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
And it's not just like they flake about things that are like, hey, let's have lunch. And then, the day comes and they say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm going to be 15 minutes late. Or, oh, I'm so sorry, it's not going to work. Like I've had appointments, not that I made, like that someone made with me, but things that I made at somebody's office and they flake on you.
Yeah.
Like a doctor or a dentist.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or not my dentist. My dentist is fantastic. My dentist is wonderful. And if you're watching this, we love you.
Yes, and if you're watching this, Greg's dentist, I have left my dentist and am now coming to you as my dentist because they flaked on me twice. Anyway, sorry.
But I mean, it just keeps happening, right? Like what's the point? It's like there was a Jerry Seinfeld skit that he made a car reservation. It was an episode. He made a car reservation and he got to the rental place and they said, we don't have any cars available. And he said, well, then why did I make a reservation? Oh, yes, sir, you have to make the reservation. He's like, why? You're not honoring the reservation. Right. So why do I need to make the reservation if you're not going to honor it? We can just show up and get a car. It's like Oprah. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car.
Jerry didn't get a car.
Jerry got no car.
He should have gone to Oprah.
He had to walk.
Anyways, I didn't see the episode.
It was a good episode.
All right. Well, commitment.
But commitments matter.
And absolutely. And really, I was thinking in terms of some of the big stuff that we commit to, right? Not just a rental car, which is important. Not just my dentist giving me an appointment that he flaked on twice. But the commitment that we make to God, the commitment that we make to employers, to churches, to other people, spouses, friendships, you know what I mean? And the commitments that we make through the words we speak, right? I mean, like when you say it, as Jesus tells us, let your yes be yes and your no be no. I mean, like, do it, right? So if you've made that word and spoken that word, let's commit. And before we get into all of it, I was thinking like the world we've fallen into. I mean, I joke with the whole, gym and we become mysteriously allergic to spandex, but I mean, like it's okay now, right? To do that kind of stuff. I was thinking, I was talking with Happy, my assistant Happy, and we were talking about it. And really, we concluded like we're living in a Netflix type of world now. And what I mean by that is no commitment. It's a subscription service. Try it for free for 30 days, right? And you don't like Netflix? Cancel. You don't like this job? Cancel. You don't like, this Warrior Saints Academy? Unsubscribe, cancel. You don't like your church? Cancel. Go find another one. I mean, you don't like your marriage? Cancel. You know what I mean? And we're not joking. I mean, we all know that 50% of marriages in this country end in divorce, right?
Right. That's if they ever get married.
Yeah.
Because people are afraid of the commitment.
Right.
And they don't want to be boxed in, locked in.
Right. So you're totally right. We're living in like this, it's a subscription world. And God, I don't think God called us to that. I think he called us to, obviously to commitment, and clearly to commit to him, and clearly to commit to a spouse if you decide to marry him or her. Commit to your children if you have them and raise them. Commit to your parents as they raised you. You should care for them, particularly at the end of their lives and so on. It goes even further to in the workplace. This one thing I've seen now, we've talked about it a couple times, drive me bananas. It's called Shift Smart. And it's this new app, which I haven't been on, so if I speak of it wrong, but what I think it is an app that you can use to connect you to temporary jobs to get a shift, whether it be working at a grocery store or packaging house or whatever. And it says work on your own schedule and find a shift that fits your lifestyle, right? So that's their marketing campaign. And there's no commitment to an employer.
Yeah. That's
it's kind of crazy. You can just work when you want to work, i.e. the stupid Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week. That's the dumbest crap I've ever heard. And yet he peddles it, but he became famous on it. But there's no commitment to anyone. Could you imagine?
Well, that's because he makes money off of it because it sounds exciting. It sounds like something that we want. It sounds like something that we should be able to do, that we should be able to have. It sounds like something we deserve. And because everything else in our lives is pushing us towards this subscription model, because everything in the world is going along with this subscription model, we just keep rolling with this subscription model, and it just is nuts. It just gets to be really absolutely ridiculous. And there's so many things that are ridiculous going on in our lives right now.
Right now.
Right in this moment. I'm totally about to change camera angles. So just so you guys have an understanding of what's going on. Anyway, there's an issue with commitment, and
I am no
committed
longer
to
committed to these
glasses.
So he's making fun of me because I have these stupid glasses. They're great. They snap together, but I can't freaking get them on. And so I can't see what I need to see.
People watching this are going to be like, we're done. Unsubscribe. We just got canceled. We're done here. But, bringing it back.
How can you bring it back?
Because commitment's a big issue.
Yeah, totally.
That's the whole point. We become we become committed to specific brands. I'm not, those glasses, they're great. And they are 99% of the time some pretty practical things to have. But 1% of the time, it's not going to happen for you. But, and I have a pair of them because you bought them for me, because you're committed to them. You're in. These are not them. These are normal reading glasses that I have to have, because now that's where we're at. All right, so it's lost. Go on.
Well, all of that fun aside, I think as we're trying to, do this in our own lives. All of the stuff that we are teaching, we're experimenting in our own lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I say it again, it sounds arrogant, and I don't mean for it to, but I was proud of myself this morning on my run that it's just stuck with it as far as I have. And I've been working out for more than just the 5 months, but literally since January, almost every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was pretty regular. Now I'm daily, basically. And I like that commitment. I feel better because of it. All the stuff that goes with it. And so I say it because, like I said, I'm excited. It's proud, but I say it because we're trying. It works, right? When you do these things that God calls us to, you find change, transformation in your life, right? And all that kind of stuff that's out there where people are just, I feel like lost in miserable places, sad places, it's because there's no commitment and there's just constant bouncing around. You and I both know this. And it won't change because it's the nature of human beings. But our church, as many are, is exploding. You and I can't keep up. And yet there are still people who bounce. We talked about, and some of those people, by the way, bounce from one church to another. And then some find a new home and are happy, but most continue to be runners. Then you think about, like we talked about already, marriage, right? The divorce rate in Western civilized world is ridiculous, right? We think about how many people you talked about it, like you commit to showing up or going to a party or whatever, you commit to lunch with someone and then you have to flake. And I have done it, right? Sometimes I've had emergencies. Sometimes I've just been a jerk and flaked, but it's not good, ever good, right? It's never good. You think about, the commitments that we make. We were talking and joking about our employers, where you say, I'm going to go work. Listen, you knew this, you were here. We were interviewing for someone and we hired the person.
Yeah.
And she never showed up.
3 days, not even 3 hours.
Yeah. No, but that was 3 days, that one. But then the one didn't even show up.
She never showed up. She took
the
another job.
Yeah, which was, again,
The same
fine.
day.
Yeah. Which was fine. But you don't commit and say, yes, I'll take the job. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That kind of stuff. And then the shift smart and all that kind of stuff we were talking about, which just breeds that. And the subscription, Netflix, cancel anytime. I mean, I get it. That's where it goes. We have that with the Warrior Saints Academy, but it's not even about that. It's about that's the world we're living in. And I'm not sure, well, I'm sure that it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good place to be.
It's definitely not a good place to be. Because what does it mean? You erode a little part of yourself. And at some point, you become like the boy who cried wolf. Your word means nothing anymore if all you do is flit about and treat everything like it's a subscription, right?
Yeah.
Like you start to get a little bit of a reputation that this is what's going to happen. This is who you are. This is what you do. And that's not always a good thing to have happen, right? I mean, we want to be known for having integrity. And part of integrity is that when you say something, you do something.
Yeah. So why do we do it? What are your thoughts on, why we as a species are so, bad. I mean, many of us are so bad on our commitments. Or I don't know. I don't want to throw you on the spot, but do you have any insights into it?
I think it's self-preservation. I think it's preservation of the ego.
What do you mean?
Well, trying to think of a way to say it without being too obvious. In the sense that like we all know those people that get involved in stuff and it's really exciting and they love being involved in it. And the minute that something doesn't go exactly their way, they temper tantrum and then they quit. So they might be they might have an impressive resume that has a list of all kinds of different organizations and boards and different things that they've been a part of. And at some point gotten upset, gotten a little bit offended. And so to preserve the ego, they go somewhere else. We jump churches because we want to preserve our ego, right? Like I'm mad because so-and-so said such and such to me. So I'm done. I'm never going back. And then sometimes you even end up coming back because you've bounced around so many different times that you run out of options. You end up back where you started. I mean, we even see that happen.
Right.
And it's all because of self-preservation. It's all because of that preservation of the ego. It's because I don't get my way. So I've been noticing something with my kids, 2 and 4. They are totally content playing by themselves. The minute one of them comes and sits next to the other one, all of a sudden they start declaring it's mine. And they start marking their territory. So like if my son is playing with toys here and my daughter comes in and decides if they're playing with their Magna-Tiles, she wants all the pink Magna-Tiles because pink is her favorite colors. Even if he's not playing with the pink Magna-Tiles, he cries, screams, and yells and shouts, "That's mine. I was playing with it." And she does the exact same thing if the roles are reversed. She's playing with something. He comes in and starts playing with something different that she hasn't been playing with. She wants it. It's mine. It's because we are trying to preserve self.
Yeah.
It's something inside us that knows that we need to preserve something, and that becomes how we preserve it.
Yeah. Which is funny because the gospel is completely contra that, right?
Exactly.
I mean, the whole idea is crucifixional living, right?
Well, and beyond that, the preservation of ego is what the Bible is written against in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Genesis story is anti-preservation of ego.
Right.
The mess that is created in Genesis. And that doesn't matter if you're reading it literally or figuratively,
Right.
because the message is the same. Your ego is getting you into all kinds of trouble.
So, I mean, really, yeah, I mean, that just, it tells you then, I think the ultimate point of all of it is that to commit to something necessarily requires that there will be a sacrifice
Yeah.
for the sake of that which you have committed to.
Yeah. Sometimes it means that if we commit to something and then something better comes along, we have that desire to flake.
Yeah.
We can't.
Well, we'll talk
because
about that.
we already made the commitment. But even in that, there's a sacrifice, because I would rather do this other thing, but I already committed to go to this other thing and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
As we know.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to talk about that. I think we'll
Yeah.
get to some of the practical stuff we were brainstorming, but I mean, commitment necessarily requires crucifixional living. It means you have to sacrifice for that which you committed to. Now let's get into scripture. I feel like that's a great intro. I mean, it sets the stage. We all know it. Every one of us feels it. But we get into this biblically. I mean, you can see let's say it like this. You can see commitment all the way through scripture, right? Like there's all these people that have just like, in spite of the chaos that was thrown at them, they did it. They're all a mess. I get it. Every one of them in this list, save the Lord himself, was somehow a sinner in their own right. But when push came to shove, they were committed and they did the business, right? I mean, it starts with Noah and the boat, right? If you read the text, I mean, like think about the commitment there, because like there's no rain, God. You're telling me to build a boat, right? Like, but he was in. And then he sat in that boat for a year, right? Abraham, he's got no kids. And God finally says, Sarah's going to have a son. Oh, by the way, when he's 13, you need to go sacrifice him to me. And Abraham says, okay. I mean, he was in, right? That's a weird thing. You think about Ezekiel, the prophet. He allowed himself. Listen, I know it's metaphorical, but I mean, think about the idea. God, as he's telling his people, that I'm coming and bringing thunder, he makes Ezekiel lie down on one side and ties him up for 390 days. And then he lets him up and says, all right, now go to the other side, 40 more days, right? I mean, it's obviously not real in that sense, but like crazy. Jeremiah, I mean, he becomes God's city that the people attack. You think about the great Paul, right? St. Paul, I mean, his perfect image. I mean, he was shipwrecked and tossed to and fro and imprisoned and beaten and hungry. Like all that stuff that you read about in Acts and that he talks about in his epistles. I mean,
And he got knocked off his horse.
yeah. And he was in, right? I mean, he was obviously committed. There's another one that's interesting that's not biblical, but he's dear to our hearts, is the patron of the church that we serve, St. George. I mean, he was a soldier in Palestine in, the early Christian centuries and in the midst of pagans, right? You probably know the story better than I don't know to tell it, but I mean, like he went through hell. I mean, literally, right?
Yeah, the amount of tortures. Like I'm always floored by the icon of St. George that shows his life. Because I mean, usually icons of St. George show a nice guy riding a horse with a dragon underneath that he's stabbing and some princess that he's saving in the background. But the icon of the life of St. George has images of all the different tortures. And there's always one that gets me every single time. There's a huge wheel and he's laid on top of it. And there's people with ropes on either end. And he's just being like raked over this wheel. There's spikes in some icons. It's just, but he was tormented. And there's a fascinating idea when you're talking about commitment, because as you pointed out, he's a soldier. His commitment to God was more important ultimately than his commitment to the emperor.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. I mean, it's a great story. Yeah. I mean, the icons of his martyrdom to me are far more interesting than the dragon and the horse. I mean, that's nice, but I agree with you. Obviously, the Lord himself is the greatest example, right? I mean, Jesus Christ is committed to God's plan. Now, as funny as it may seem, God's plan was kind of weird, right? You read in Isaiah chapter 53, there's this verse where it's talking about the Messiah. It's the will of the Lord to bruise him, is what it says in some translations, right? Like, so these are the suffering servant poems, the 52, 3, 4, that whole section of Isaiah. And excuse me, I mean, God's plan was to take his king as Messiah and bruise him and let him be so marred and like disfigured that people like shuddered at him, right? Yeah. And I mean, obviously the New Testament writers, ascribe that prophecy to Christ on the cross, right? But But so the Lord's plan is, and we know it's unto salvation. The cross leads to life.
Yeah.
But so God's plan is to do that. And Jesus was all in on that plan, right? I mean, you jump, so forgive me, but jump ahead to Matthew in chapter 20. Like, I didn't come to be served, says the Lord. I came to serve, and here's the plan, to give my life as a ransom, right? Like, in other words, that's the whole plan, and I'm committed to it. And he got tested. He was tested with that, right? That's the Gethsemane story, where he's in the garden. Oh my gosh, Father, I don't want to do this. Let the cup pass, right? I know this is the plan. I don't want it. I want to decommit, right? I want to find a new university, right? I want to decommit. Nevertheless, he says, not what I will, but what you will, right? So like he's all in on the plan. And that plan was unto his death, unto life everlasting. But it was through the cross and the suffering and the horror of death. But he was in. He was willing. I mean, he was crucifixional, right? The first one, right? In that he went to the crucifixion because of his commitment to God's will and God's plan.
Yeah. It's huge.
And you think about that, and what does that say for us, right?
Right. And it's so hard for us to do that because we're called to follow that. We're called to do that. We're called to live that out in our own lives and figure out what that means. And yet we don't want to because, for one, it's hard. For the other, there's other stuff that's more exciting. Netflix is more exciting, but it's interesting. I'm in season 5 of The Last Kingdom.
So good.
And watching Uhtred, son of Uhtred, who is pledging himself to all these kings, and we've talked about him in the past, but he's in these 2 different worlds, but he gives his life to these kings and makes these oaths to them, and he keeps wanting to get out. And just like in Godfather 3, every time he tries to get out, they suck him back in because he's a man of integrity. He's a man of honor. He's a man who is willing to do what he has said he is doing and going to do. And he sees it all the way to the very end.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's a great show. I love it.
Yeah.
And I love it. He does. He's a man of commitment. So, hey, Warrior Saints, thank you so much for being with us. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us get the word out there. And if you want more, visit us at warriorsaints.org and subscribe to Understanding the Bible. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.